Sol, goddess of the sun. Be going over some of the skins that I liked on her. I'll be also going over her abilities and some build suggestions on Sol. Alright, right off the bat, the magnificent skin for Sol is one of my favorites. The amount of detail that she has on this skin is pretty good. Also, when she does basic attacks, she throws cards, which I like. Also, the voice pack is really good.
I am simply the best.
Right after that, Soulless Machine is also one of my second favorite skins for Sol. What I really like about this skin is the half cyborg and half human-like form that they gave her. Also, this was her very first human face that they ever did with her. What I also like is the hair, the dreadlocks, if you can say. Overall, I really like this skin. The only downplay is the voice pack. I wish they gave her a different voice pack.
Out of mana. I'll defend middle lane. I'll defend right lane.
I mean, I understand the approach, but come on. They could have done so much cooler stuff. Alright, the third skin is Meltdown Soul. This skin is really cool and unique. I do like the green glow and the little details that they gave her as well. Also, the skull face is pretty cool.
Enemies behind us! Uranium! I'm so sorry!
Next is Polarize. Polarize is pretty cool because of the colors that come with it. And the added detail of kind of like an armor that they gave her. It's a different and unique take on her, which I really like. Next is Supernova. What I really like about this skin is the colors. Something about the neon pink with the blue just looks really cool on her. Alright, now I'm going to go over her abilities. Sol's passive is Unstable Manifestation. Sol gains heat as she uses ability and hits with the basic attacks. She gains plus 1% magical power and plus 1.2% attack speed for every 4%. At 100% heat, Sol basic attacks gains plus 15% damage. Heat decreases over time. Basic attack is 5% heat. Sol's first ability is Radiance. Sol burns bright, gain a large amount of heat, killing herself over time and illuminating the ground around her. Enemies that walk into the fire takes damage over time. The damaging area persists for 3 seconds. Damage is 30 and goes up to 110. This also scales up her magical power by plus 25% for every 1 second. The heal is 18% of missing health over 5 seconds. The heat is 30 and it goes up to 70%. Stellar Burst is her second ability. Sol's next basic attack explodes, creating a shockwave that travels out, dealing damage. At full size, the wave retracts, dealing damage again and slowing enemies. Damage is 40 and it goes up to 140. This also scales up with her magical power by plus 40%. The slow is 15 and it goes up to 35 seconds for 1.5 seconds. The heat is 10%. Evaporate is her third ability. Soul burns down her manifestation, gaining movement speed and immunity to slows while leaving a trail of fire behind her that damage enemies. After 3 seconds, Soul loses corporal form for a short time. Soul may leave her in corporal form early. Damage is 20 and goes up to 100. This also scales up with her magical power by plus 25% every 0.5 seconds. The movement speed she gains is 20 and it goes up to 30%. Her heat gains up to 10%. Supernova is her ultimate. Soul unleashes all of her flame and fury from the sky, striking 8 times along a movable ground target location. Enemies hit are knocked back on the first strike and take only 30% damage on successful hits. Damage is 150 and goes up to 350. This also scales up with her magical power by plus 50%. She gains 40% heat. Alright, now let's go over her build. First, I like to go with golden gooseberries with her recipe. For her stardom, you can go with Conduct Gem built into the Archmage's Gem. The second starter item that I recommend is Mannequin Spectre. Then built Mannequin's Mace. The third starter item that I recommend is Death's Toll. Then Death's Embrace. Then after that, Ring Shard is really good with her. Then the Nimble Bancroft's Talon. After that, Telekine's Ring, Demonic Grip, Divine Ruin, Polynomicon, Spear of Desolation, Ratatouille. If you want magical defense, you can go with the Shurikens. For physical protection, I'll go with Berserker Shield. If you want more sustained magical power, then you can probably go with Rejuvenating Heart, or even a Ethereal Staff. The relics that I recommend is Beads, Aegis, Blink, and Belt of Frenzy. Consumables, healing, mana, wards as always, Century wards, Chalice of the Oracle. Then in late game, get Potion of Power, Elixir of Power, and if you have extra gold lying around, get Elixir of Defense. Alright guys, now let's get into the game. Hello everyone, and welcome to my new Smite series. Today I'll be going over the story of Soul and tell you guys about her origin story. But first, before we begin, I just want to say some things. First is I just want to say thank you so much. I mean so much for clicking on this video. Like, oh my gosh, it means the fucking world to me. By you clicking on this video, it shows that people are interested in the origin stories and lore of each god and goddesses. Also, I just want to say that I am not an expert in any mythology or claim to be one. However, I do my own research and try to provide my audience with the most accurate stories of each god and goddesses. I also want to say if I mispronounce anything in the video, I just want to apologize in advance. I will throw the word in the screen to show you guys what word I'm trying to say or pronounce. Lastly, I just want to say that I am not a Smite expert or claim to be the best Smite player in the world. I am not Smite World Champion. When I provide my builds, I do it, when I provide my build suggestions, I only do it to help others and have a better understanding, to have a better idea to build on a certain god or goddess. Compared to other YouTubers, I just don't want to just throw in my, oh yeah, here's my build, guys. Go get a Penta now. All right, that being said, let's begin. To understand Sol's story, we have to go back to the beginning of Norse mythology, starting with Odin and his two brothers, Vili and Vi. In other sources, the three gods' names are Odin, Hroðnir, and Ludur. This video, I'll just be calling them Vili and Vi, since it's easier for me. After slaying the most powerful ice giant Ymir, the three gods Odin, Vili, and Vi created the world from the body of the dead giant. The sun, the moon, and the stars were created by the sparks that shoot forth from Muspelheim, which is the realm of fire. However, the sun and the moon stood still without a driver. Mondiferi, which I'll tell you guys more about him later in the video, Mondiferi had two children, a son and a daughter, Mani and Sol. Mondiferi was arrogant of the children's beauty, and that the children were so beautiful that they were named after the sun and the moon. First the sun, Sol, then the moon, Mani. One day, Sol eventually marries a man named Glenner. Not much known about Glenner. However, once Sol and Glenner got married, this really angered the gods. And it's not clear why the gods were so angry. But the story continues, saying that regardless of the reason why, the gods took two children, Sol and Mani went up to the heavens and made them ride the two celestial beings, the sun and the moon. This next part is interesting because it only talks about the two horses that are in Sol's chariot and not Mani's. The first horse is named Arvakr, which has the meaning of awake. The second horse is Alsavur, meaning very quick. To keep the two horses cooled down, the gods placed two bellows underneath the horses' shoulders. And they were called Izinoki, or iron bars. To protect the realms, the gods also placed a shield in front of Sol's chariot, and it is called Civilin. In Old Norse, Civilin translates as cold or chill. Odin says if the shield ever fall from the chariot, then the mountains and the seas will burn up. The two children in the sky without order, just randomly flying around, and there is no sense of time. Since there is no order, the day and night became one. For example, 1 second it's going to be daytime, next second it's nighttime. So it's like day, night, night, day, night, day. You get the idea. Eventually this will all change. The sun moves quickly, almost as if she's afraid of something. that she could not go any faster. Like she was afraid of her own death. The one chasing after her comes very close, and there is no escape for her except to run. Probably wondering who is chasing after Soul. Well, the two wolves gave chase to Soul and her brother Mani. The first wolf is named Skull, also known as treachery or mockery. The second wolf is named Hati, also known as he who hates or enemy. The first wolf, Skull, chases after Soul, and despite her fear, Skull will eventually catch her. Hati, the second wolf, runs ahead of Soul and chases after Mani, which eventually also catches Mani. Now there is order, and when the two wolves chase after Soul and Mani, it creates the time of men. This is why we have now a 24-hour cycle. Some theories say that sometimes Skull takes a bite of Soul, and that causes a solar eclipse, similar to Soul. The same thing happens to Hati takes a bite of Mani. Causes us to have different faces of the moon. However, since Soul can heal herself, that is why the next day she is whole again. In my own theory, I believe Soul also heals her brother, Mani, since if you remember, Skull actually chases after Soul, and Hati actually runs ahead of Soul to chase after Mani. So Mani's ahead of Soul. So in my theory, Soul can easily heal her brother back to the full moon. Once both wolves can catch Soul and Mani and eat them, then the event starts Ragnarok. However, Soul's legacy will continue by her daughter, because Soul will bear a daughter who is just as beautiful as she is, and will ride her mother's path. After the events of Ragnarok, there is nothing else known about Soul's daughter. I mean, they didn't even give her a name. Alright, now I'm going to go back and talk about Modern Fury, or Soul and Mani's father. There's not much known of who he is, but there is theories that he could be associated in time itself. Kind of like the Greek mythology, the Titan Kronos. Yes, I said Titan because I know Kronos, because Kronos is a Titan and not a god. I know in Smite they call him a god, but trust me, he's a Titan. And Roman, they call him Saturn, like the planet. The reason why people theorize that Modern Fury is time itself, because if you break down the name, the word Mondil is related to Mund, meaning period of time. Yet again, it's not confirmed and it's just a theory. Now let's talk about Mani again. There isn't much known about him besides that he's already known by what we know by him. That he is the son of Modern Fury and is Soul's brother. There are some theories that he could be related to modern folklore, and that is the man on the moon, mentioned in Scandinavian, England, and northern Germany folklore. Okay, now you know about the Norse mythology of Soul. Now let's talk about the dramatic version of her. And she is called Suna. Suna, short for soon, or short for sun, and that's how we get the name Sun. There's actually not much known about Suna, but however, you do know that she does appear once in the Germanic mythology with her sister Synthgunt. In the second Mersburg Charms, it talks about Fool and Woden. Woden is actually the Germanic version of Odin. So we got Fool is with Woden when Baldur's horse dislocates its foot while he is riding through the forest. Woden intones the incantation bone to bone, blood to blood, limb to limb, as it they mended. Now I'm going to read the poem talking about the second Mersburg charm. Fool and Woden were riding to the woods, and the foot of Baldur's Fool was sprained. So Synthgunt, Suna's sister, conjured it, and Fuja, Valar's sister, conjured it, and Woden conjures it as well. He could like bone sparn, so blood sparn, so joint sparn, bone to bone, blood to blood, joints to joints, so many they are glued. Another version goes like this, and the incantations describes how Fool and Woden rode to a wood, and their Baldur's Fool sprained its foot. Synthgunt sang charms, her sister Suna sang charms, Fula sang charms, her sister Vala sang charms, and finally Woden sang charms, followed by a verse describing the healing of the fool's bone. This is important because it gives us how Soul and Suna, Soul or Suna, sorry, has a healing power, and back then people did worship Suna or Soul for healing powers. Now let's read about Smite's version and how it compared to see how accurate it is.
I am going to stop the video for a second. Hello, you are probably wondering who I am? My name isn't important, just know that I hacked this video. Hahaha wee lolalalal. Anyways, I just wanted to let you guys know that this guy is really bad at reading. And in my research I have found that he is autistic and maybe dyslexic. I will help you read all the things he is going to say, but I don't have the right files on me. Also, one last thing, I will show up in Firebugs videos time and time again. So don't miss out. Okay, IGTG, bye.
So it says, Soul, goddess of the sun. Soul and her brother came into this world radiant, gorgeous beings. So enamored with them, their father ignorantly named each after a scared heavenly body. He for the moon, and she the sun. As they grew, each child provided their namesake. Mani of the moon was contemplative, obedient, calm, and Soul conversely became willful, spirited, passionate. His children were everything a father could dream of, but Odin and his elk were not pleased. For a father's hubris, Mani and Soul were punished. To the sky they were sent, each to lead the chariot that dragged the sun or the moon. At their heels they were loosed the bloodthirsty sons of Fenrir. Hungry wolves, relentless in pursuit of their prey. We gained Mani guided his steeds through the night, ever ahead of his hunter. But Soul did not accept her fate. Furious at the gods, she taunts and challenges the wolf school as she blazes across the sky, unleashing her spite on the only opponent she can reach. Odin has never shown signs of regret of his decision. But now the war is upon the land, his attention are turned. Soul, normally confined by her chariot, has found a way to send a flaming essence to the battlefield. To the casual observer, the combat of bloodshed may all seem just a game to Soul, but she is driven by the age of grudge and desire to be free. So yeah, it's somewhat accurate. Besides how Soul is not afraid of school, because in the lore she is super afraid and she's like running for her life basically. I don't know how they get the information of how Soul and Mani behaved, because in my own research it never really describes how Mani was, contemplative, obedient, and calm, or how Soul is conversely became willful and spirited and passionate. Unless Hyras just made that part up, but who knows? Yet again, I'm not an expert in Norse mythology. Maybe someone in the comments can explain more. I like how they played it safe and made Soul design, because it says that Soul is normally confined by the chariot, which is true, and yet she has found a way to send a flaming essence to her in the battlefield. I like this approach because besides like making up what Soul actually looks like, they gave her like a clone of like the essence into the battlefield, which is clever. And that explains why when you look at Soul's like OG like design, she's like in fire. And yeah, like she's still beautiful in a way, but she's like engulfed in flames, which it makes sense. And it only says that the only description they have with Soul and Mani and even her daughter is just how beautiful they are. So yeah, good job with Hyras for keeping the lore somewhat accurate. I also had to look up what elk means, or ILK. I don't know what that is. But I ended up like going on Google and trying to look it up. Because in back in the Hyras lore, it says that Odin and his elk, and I was really confused by that. But apparently if you look up elk, there's like isn't really anything there. But when you Google, it comes up with a suggestion of Elkthurinir, and it says on the Wikipedia page that it's a stag which stands upon Valhalla and the Norse mythology. But don't worry, I'll send you guys the link in the description so you guys can read more about what the Elkthurinir is, because yeah, I cannot I cannot like think of anything that can relate to like Odin and the elk can be angered by Soul and Mani. Also, I forgot to tell you guys that I will link anything, like all my sources, into the description, so you guys can feel free to do your own research and learn more on your own. And I did forget to tell you guys one last thing that I think Hyra as well mentioned, that they talked about how Soul is female and Mani is man. Is like man. There is a theory that how Soul and Mani were the first two genders in Norse mythology, but yet again, it's just a theory. Since they were, the beginning of time, and there was nothing nothing at that time besides, Odin and his two brothers, and and Maldiferi. And then when it came to Mani and Soul, it did describe how Mani's more masculine and Soul's more feminine. But yet again, this is not confirmed or anything. This is just a theory. And it's not just my theory, and I wanted to make this clear. It's like with other scholars and people that actually do research on their own time. That's their theories as well. So it's not just like, oh yeah, this is my theory. It's like everybody else's theories as well. Fun fact that the older Roman Empire actually had a coin of Soul, and if you can see on the screen, it has everything that matches her description. You have Soul on her chariot with the two horses, Aardvark and Allsarver, which is kind of cool. It's kind of cool to think about, like, no matter what you are, like where you are. No matter where you are in the world. Oh my gosh, we have somewhat of a connected. We're somewhat connected in a way, which is kind of cool to think about. Now I'm going to show you guys this relic that they found in Denmark. This is called Tunduhul Sun Chariot. This was discovered in 1902. The description says the horse stands on a bronze rod supported by the four wheels. The rod below the horse is connected to the disc, which is supported by two wheels. If you noticed, one side is shiny and the other is not. Some say that this could be the description of the shield that I talked about. Solvin. Again, I'm sorry if I'm mispronouncing anything. Or it could be depicted as, Soul and Mani. Soul, the bright side, and Mani on the dark side. This next part is very interesting because it talks about how the Sun Chariot is related to Indo-European mythology and religions and how it's somewhat connected. So, of course, you get in Norse mythology, you get Soul's chariot. In Celtic pantheon, you get the god of the sky, Tartarus, or the god of thunder, is typically depicted with attribute of the spoked wheel. In Hindu scriptures is mentioned the sun god's bride as seated on the chariot pulled by the two steeds. Then the last one, in Greek mythology, the solar deity Helios was said to wear a radiant crown, and his horse-drawn chariot raced across the sky, burning daylight. All right, that's all I have found in Soul's origin story. If I missed anything, let me know in the comments. I read them all. I mean, I'll read them all. Read them all. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I spent a lot of time researching everything, and I'll continue researching my further my knowledge for each god and goddesses that I come across. After rewatching this gameplay, there's some things that I would like to change. The first thing I noticed is that I didn't have any pen. Second, I should have gotten an anti-heal because I believe that Poseidon, or correct me if I'm wrong, that Poseidon had some kind of lifesteal. And anti-heal can work on Naja and Cupid. And thank God Cupid DC'd because yeah, I should have just swapped my Berserker shield to a Toxic Blade, because Toxic Blade gives you pen, attack speed, health, and some movement speed. I don't really need a physical protection if, you know, there is only one physical god, Naja, and the rest were magical, so. Plus the pen would help me with both Athena and Kepri. But again, it doesn't really matter since we still got the win anyways. Anyways, this is going to be the end of the video. I really hope you guys enjoyed this. And I will show you guys the end screen, of course. And yeah, I'll continue making videos like this in the future. Alright everyone, I hope you guys have a great rest of your day, and I'll catch you in the next one. Bye bye.